So how were the reactions from like non-Christians at the festivals or at the Comic-Cons that you went to?
Well, at the Comic-Cons, generally speaking, the reactions are usually one of two things. One is some people will see some of the imagery on my banners and the books and the posters I give away and see the, kind of the Christian imagery and give me a wide berth. And then the other part of the group will be attracted to it and be really surprised that, common comment is, wow, I didn't know anyone did, Christian comic books or Christian graphic novels. This is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy because, like, I personally just found out through you, actually, that there are a lot of Christian artists out there that are doing some really interesting things. There's the Kingstone guys that do, like, 2048 and, like, really interesting things like that. I mean, how do you fit in with those guys? It seems like you kind of have a camaraderie between you all.
Well, there's a real good group called the Christian Comic Art Society that has actually a site on the internet it's kind of like a Facebook for people involved in graphic arts of a Christian nature and comic books. And they're out of like Los Angeles, and so when we do San Diego, they always have a table there, and they do some panels on Christian themes and comics, and actually kind of an introductory meeting there for people that are maybe in the industry and would like or are Christian or would like to fellowship with brothers who are also artistic. And other than that, I think that's a problem. Is there isn't really one big publisher who does a lot of it. It's mainly a lot of small and indie publishers and self-publishers that are doing their work. So you either got to run across them in a regional convention or find them on the internet, Google them, Christian graphic novels or comics, because you're not going to see a whole lot of them in the stores.
Right. So in a nutshell, what is Eyewitness?
Eyewitness, modern-day action-adventure story. Think a 21st century kind of Indiana Jones character who's called the Bone Man, and that wraps around in a very creative way a telling of the birth of the Christian faith from the Passion Week through the Book of Acts.
Okay, all right.
And the two stories play off of each other 2,000 years apart and kind of jump back and forth in time.
Right, and how long have you had this thing in the hopper?
I originally was inspired with the first story back in 2000. I kind of denied it, but kept it in my head and kept thinking about it, and really developed it over 2 years, and then really sat down and really seriously started working on the first book in 2002. So this is the 4 volumes basically represent the last 8 years of my life.
Wow. And how does it feel to have actually kind of
given birth to it?
Yeah, put a cap on it.
It's kind of a relief, and so what I'm doing now, we started in June, through at least the end of the year, is just kind of taking some time and breathing a little bit and relaxing, and getting away from my drawing table and the computer and doing the Unknown God Tour, which is basically taking me from coast to coast one time this year, and we'll do the same thing in the next couple months, where I'm just now sharing the complete works with people around the country that may or may not have seen some or all of it yet.
Excellent. What is it? What are you trying to say with it? What is your mission behind Eyewitness?
Just bottom line was to share the story of the passion story and kind of the birth story of Christianity in a way that was not straight biblical adaptation, but kind of add some drama, add some characterization to it. I tell people I tried to do for the Book of Acts and the Passion story what Cecil B. DeMille did for the Book of Exodus with the Ten Commandments movie.
Right.
If you go back to that movie, there's a lot of scenes and even characters in there that you don't find in the Book of Exodus when you pick up a Bible. But that didn't diminish or change the core story. It just made it more approachable and entertaining for people. And that's what I wanted to do with Eyewitness.
Okay. All right. What are your, I think a lot of people can see when looking at it. I could pick out some of the influences. What were the influences like artistically? Obviously, writing-wise, it would be the Bible. Obviously, you took most of that, But artistically, who are your major inspirations?
I'm a Silver Age kind of guy artistically, for the most part. So Jack Kirby is a huge influence if you look at my figures and my compositions. Gil Kane, John Byrne, a lot of my camera angles I choose are real Byrne influence. Frank Miller, I can't think of the artist who did Watchmen. His name is escaping.
Alan Moore.
No, that's the writer. The artist.
Oh, the artist. Good question.
Yeah, the artist for the Watchmen in his framing, because I use a lot of 9-panel pages, and I like that for storytelling, especially when you're trying to move a story along and not have it stretch out over 12 pages when you can tell something in 3 or 4 pages.
Right.
Winsor McKay, there's one from a real obscure one as far as doing fantasy stuff,
right?
Mixing it with reality.
And who did he do?
He did Little Nemo in Slumberland right around the turn of the century, which was a comic strip that he did daily and then Sunday in big full-color strips. And there's some wonderful collections of stuff, and it's just breathtaking even looking at it today, 100 years later.
Right. And then obviously the cover of Unknown God is a obvious homage to Will Eisner, which of course I picked that out.
Thank you very much. You know, I'd forgotten about Eisner. Yeah, he's a big influence too, because I studied, he's got 2 real good books, Sequential Storytelling, and I can't think of the name of the other one, but actually back before I started this project I did study both of those because I've been kind of a quasi-fan of his, and just enjoy the way he expanded the medium during his lifetime, and so that was really a homage cover for him since he passed here just a few years back.
Yep, excellent. So what do you got in store right now? You're just going to be doing some touring a little bit to promote?
Yeah, touring through at least the end of this year and probably into next year too. Catch some conventions I missed this last year in the spring. We've got actually a limited edition slipcase of the entire set coming out in November, which will be part of what I'm promoting on my tour. And then I'm toying with the idea of doing an omnibus edition of the entire series, because we've got about 30 other pages of material that both come before this series starts and then kind of fill in between some of the books to make one big, huge single volume. But that's still kind of in the works, because I'm toying with actually letting someone else publish that and me just create it.
I actually do have an interesting question about the theological standpoint of the book. There were some things, like you said, the 10 Commandment moments. That's what you call them in the book, or what do they call it? You call it the 10 Commandments. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like it's in the first book, I think.
Well, actually, go ahead and I lay that down here in print. I say the 10 Commandments strategy.
Yes, it's something like that. Yeah, I think it was in the first book, the actual words you used.
Okay.
What you made Judas out to be not so much really evil, but kind of misled, like he was a zealot that didn't get it.
Right.
You know, I mean, have you had any kind of like interesting responses to that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not at all offended by that.
No.
I mean, I'm just interested in, because you did that a lot. It seems like you took a lot of historical, you really dug into the history and the background of the history to make it more believable and not just, here's the Bible, believe it the way it is.
Well, Judas was one of the characters I focused on and did a lot of research on the different philosophies or different theories on what influenced him to do what he did. And the one that resonated with me was, like you said, that it speculated he might have been part of the Zealots, which was a group in Jerusalem at the time who was promoting a military-style overthrow of the Roman occupation.
Well, Barabbas was of the same.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And so I chose to make him a zealot and do that because to me he seems like a sympathetic character. And as you read in the books portraying him, that his betrayal of Jesus was him doing something he thought would be a means to the end that he wanted to reach, which was everybody rising up in Jerusalem against the Romans and starting the revolution. And obviously it had much different consequences.
Right.
So I played with the idea that he was destined to do what he did, but he was destined to do it for a very different reason than he believed. And then he was a tragic figure, and he felt terrible because it's like, hey, I did this, I made a terrible mistake, and oops, now they've killed the Messiah. Because he believed that Jesus was the Messiah. And I thought he's a real tragic figure. And yeah, I've caught some people that didn't appreciate that, because there's some people that want to portray him like they did in the Book of John, that just said, the devil entered him and he betrayed Jesus. Like,
right.
And it just seemed to me that it just doesn't resonate right when you read all 4 Gospels. It seems there must be something more going on.
Right.
So I kind of really dug into that one.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure. Is there anything that you would want to end with?
Well, if you're
your
interested,
website.
If you're interested in getting the books, they may be kind of hard to find on the stands out there, but you can always get them at our website, which is headpress.info. Amazon has all the books, as well as virtually any place that sells books, Borders, Barnes & Noble, even Walmart and Target. You enter Eyewitness in there in their search site, and it's on every online database. But
excellent.
So headpress.info is the best place you can go to get information about the background of making the books, a little bio on me, and the press room. The whole thing is all there.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me talk to you.
Hey, no problem. Take care.
All right.